Okay, look, we all start somewhere, right? And today we're going to take a very real journey. We're going from beginner to pro to master, all while building the same thing, House of Creators. Now, before you go, oh, I've seen these before, trust me, you haven't seen this version. This is going to be a real building inside my new community park project, Imaginaria. It'll sit right on the main street and serve as a hub to shout out all the amazing creators contributing to the park. But before we go full crazy, let's start here. So here it is, the beginner build. And let's be honest, it's giving box. It's giving starter kit. It's giving, I just figured out how to rotate pieces and I'm proud of it. And I love that because it's real. This is where most of us begin. You open the game, you've got this wide open space and you go, all right, let's build a rectangle and see what happens. Let's talk about what we got here. We've got simple wall pieces, a flat structure. No overhangs, no roof detailing, just some resort trims running along the edges. And honestly, resort trims are kinda underrated in this sense. They clean things up just enough to feel like you made an effort. It's a very plug and play kind of build, just using what the game gives you right out of the box. Now, we're in some way also just building a facade here. Like, let's be honest, what we're focusing on today is really just the front of the building. The back, yeah, that's just walls and trims. Maybe a couple of windows on the side if we're feeling fancy. Eventually, I might toss in some trees or foliage, make it look like there's a breeze, some life around the structure. But we're keeping it minimal, because in the beginner stage, that's what you do. You work with what you have. We're not overthinking it. We're not layering 14 signs to make one curved window frame. We're not carving ruins into plaster. We're just making a building. And that's okay. I went with these Western windows because they lined up perfectly and felt a little rustic. See, there's a lot of pressure in this community, right? You go in the workshop and you see these builds that are literal movie sets. But the truth is, everyone starts here. Some folks pick the game up and instantly go full master mode. Others, most of us, start with simple builds and figure out piece by piece. I wanted this version of the House of Creators to reflect that. It's humble, it's functional, it still belongs on the main street. Because the Creator Hall isn't just a fancy building, it's a place to honor the builders, contributors, and creators that are part of this project. So it only feels right to start with a version that everyone can connect to. So yeah, it's very simple. We've got resort trims, Western windows, calm color choices, and a square box. And just enough shape to say, hey, I tried. And that's what really matters in Planet Coaster 2 when it comes to your creativity. Because in Planet Coaster 2, starting is everything. And you know what? I remember my very first building. Back in Planet Coaster 1, I built this little square Mediterranean Spanish shop. And at that time, I thought it was the coolest thing ever. It was simple, probably looked like a chunky box with terracotta roof, but it was mine, and it was the start of something. Since then, I've taken everything I learned from Planet Coaster 1 and Planet 2, and now into Planet Coaster 2, and yeah, I'd say I reached that level where I could call myself a master builder. But even with all that, I've been here. We've all been here. And honestly, that's what it's all about. Not how advanced your building is or how many pieces it took, but whether you're actually enjoying it, having fun, experimenting, creating your own thing your own way. So whether you're just getting started or you've been building for years, this beginner version, it's part of the journey. Now for colors, I went with a muted sage green for the main wall color. It's soft, a little natural, very neutral. Then we've got light tan trims for that warm contrast, and a few darker wooden browns on the door and window frames just to tie it all together. Nothing flashy, just functional. But now, let's level up. Okay, so now we're really starting to cook. We moved out of the beginner zone, we've graduated from box school, and now we're going into the pro build. You can already see the difference here, right? Same footprint, same general idea. The big change in this pro version is that I've started to think like a builder who cares. And I mean that in the best way possible. Because this is the stage where your build stops being functional and starts becoming intentional. I've used a ton of small wooden plank pieces, rescaled them, stretched them, flipped them to get where I need to get. I've got window frames, support beams, and base panels that aren't just about details, but it's also about the depth. In pro mode, as I say, you are building your assets. You are not just taking what you can get and grab from the building menu. No, you are the one to create what you need for your builds. There is no laziness here. Maybe some parts you can jump the short fence, but mainly this is all you. Now, architecture-wise, I'm keeping things consistent with the overall vision for Main Street in Imaginaria, which is a mix of Victorian-style facades, that charming turn-of-the-century look. It's not overly ornate, not ultra-modern, but it has this timeless storybook quality. And more importantly, it mingles really well with the other creators' blueprint on the street. Everyone's using slightly different color schemes, but we're sticking to the unified palette and style. So it all matches and flows together naturally. And if you're sitting at home staring at a flat box wondering why it feels boring, here's a tip. Try adding layers. Raise the roofline on one side, add a connected structure. Even something small like a slanted overhang or a shallow alcove can give your build that layered lift-in feel. It doesn't have to be complicated. Just start thinking in sections instead of just one big block. Buildings in real life are messy and added onto over time, and you can mirror that in your builds. You also notice the color palette has evolved. We're using a soft cream wall on the upper level now, which adds lightness and warmth. Down below, I've layered in some richer wood tones and darker trim to create that solid grounded base. There are still hints of gold and green in detailing, but instead of splashing them everywhere, they're used with purpose. Now those colors are accents, not the whole theme. It's more balanced, more nature, you know. And to be a little philosophical here, this is where you look at a wooden plank and go, this is where things get real. Because being a pro builder isn't just about using more pieces. It's about using the same piece differently. This is where you look at a wooden plank and go, could this be a window frame? Could I use this for a door? Can I even use this as a single piece for a chair? Or take a trim piece meant for a roof and say, what if I flipped it upside down and used it as a support beam instead? At this stage, you stop following the rules the game gives you and you start making your own design logic. So if we talk about the shape, because this is the part where people often get stuck. The beginner build was a box, a square, a starter pack. But in the pro version, we break that box open. I added this triangular roof extension with a window right in the middle. And honestly, that alone transforms the whole building. It adds depth, it breaks the roof line, and it gives the facade an identity. Now I'm gonna get a little honest here, because I see this all the time. People saying, hey, I made this build in a day, what do you think? And look, a lot of the time, it's not great. And that's okay, because it's beginner level. We all started here. But here's the thing though. If you're still building like that and you've been playing for months or even years, you're holding yourself back. You've got to push yourself. You've got to be willing to experiment, to fail, to redo things. You can't just throw pieces at the wall and hope it turns into something good. Building at the pro level takes passion. You've got to care. You've got to ask yourself, does this peak make sense here? Is this helping tell the story? Is this helping the shape, the silhouette, the vibe of what I'm creating? Because at this point, you're not just placing pieces, you're designing an experience. And of course, we're still working on the House of Creators. This is going right into the heart of the Main Street in Imaginaria. It's meant to stand out, but still fit in. And the pro version, this is where it really starts feeling like it belongs. It got purpose, it got form, it's more than just a building. It's starting to become a destination. This is what pro build looks like. It's intentional, it's stylist, and it's built with care. It's not perfect, and it's not supposed to be, because this is still the middle stage. This is the point where you're finding your style, your voice, your tricks. But you're no longer just building a thing, you're crafting a vision. So if you're ready to push it even further, get ready, because now we're heading into the master builder territory. Alright, this is it, the final step. The place where passion meets patience, and the only rule is go all in. When you reach the Master Builder level in Planet Coaster 2, you stop thinking about how long a build takes, because time doesn't matter anymore. Whether if it takes 3 hours, 3 days, you're committed, you're focused, you're crafting every inch of the build like it's your legacy, because in a way, it is. Here I've created what I like to call the Victorian version of Club Wikz House of Creators. We're still working off the same 2-to-2 foundation as our beginner and pro build, but you can already tell this one in another level. We're talking custom windows built from multiple pieces. We've got custom arches, custom support, intricate wood trim detailing, flower beds, layered stone, some decals, and that stunning tower from the Fairy Tale update, all seamlessly blended into this massive facade. Now let's talk style. Even though the color palette on this one strays a bit from the pro build, it actually works in a mysterious way. We're still using that signature green color across all 3 builds, creating continuity. And we're sticking with that repeating middle wood paneling section. That's the connective tissue between beginner, pro, and master. It's subtle, but it's there if you look for it. The difference in the master build, everything is elevated. The height is different. The detailing is deeper. The shapes are bolder. You've got a main structure and some elevated roofing, a raised back corner, and custom elements everywhere. And perhaps most importantly, I start mixing building sets like crazy. I use pieces from the Viking set, blended with the mythology, layered over Fairy Tale, and somehow it all just clicks. That's a key lesson I've learned over the years. Mixing and mingling pieces from different themes is not only okay, it's encouraged. Because once you start using pieces not for what they are, but for what they could become, that's when you unlock full creative freedom. A Viking beam might take the perfect trim for an medieval wall. A Fairy Tale arch might become a Gothic doorway when placed right. It's all about experimenting and learning how to bring harmony to chaos. To be honest with you, every build I make, I want it to be better than the last one. Not because I'm competing with anyone else, but because I'm competing with myself. That little push to evolve each time, that's what keeps building fun. And that's what being a master builder is all about. There are no shortcuts here. There's no laziness, no that's not good enough. Everything you do at this stage should feel intentional, personal, and passion driven. And hey, and if you're not there yet, that's okay. You'll get there. Just keep building, keep pushing, keep experimenting. So as you can see here, one of the big steps toward that master builder tier is really getting hands-on with custom elements. Take this window I'm working on right now. It's not just one prefab piece slapped on a wall. No, this is full Frankenstein of parts from across the entire game. I've got mythology pieces forming the silhouette, brick segments to scale down to 10% to create that tight arch shape, and some trim work that probably doesn't even belong on a window, but somehow it just works. And that's the magic of it. You start using pieces for what they were intended to be used for, and you start using them for what they can become. You start asking yourself questions like, what if this lantern roof cap could be a column base? Or what happens if I scale down this Fairy Tale molding and use it as a window trim? And most of the time it's just trial and error. Something clicks or it doesn't. But every time you try, you're locking that knowledge into your builder brain. And the more of these aha moments you stack up, the more you're training your eye for detail and possibility. That's why experimentation is key. You're building your vocabulary, your visual language, and that only becomes from testing ideas. And don't be afraid to pull inspiration from anywhere. If you're out of ideas, just step away, go look at Pinterest, Google Street View, your local town. Heck, go for a walk. Stare at a window frame. That's the energy you want to tap into, not to copy things, but to spark ideas. You might see a curved window on a church, a mural on a brick wall, or a balcony rail with cool detail, and suddenly your brain goes, yes, that's it. And that's what I've done with this third build here. I kept it true to the Victorian language, but it's like Victorian on steroids. It's bold, it's layered, it's custom from top to bottom, but it still fits within the same rhythm and pacing of the previous 2 builds. From basic to refined to all-out extravagant. Now let me just say this. None of this would have been possible without the scaling. Seriously, the ability to scale pieces down to 10 or 20% or stretch them wide and thin, that's what opens the floodgates to custom architecture. Most of the details in this facade, from the arched window frames to the bended trims and layered textures, simply would not work without the precision control. Scaling is what separates a standard build from a sculpted, personalized one. And funny enough, the only thing I didn't customize here was the roof. That gridded piece from the fairy tale set just visually clicked. It had the exact pitch and rhythm I needed. And honestly, if a piece works, you don't have to reinvent it. That's also part of the master mindset. Knowing when to go all in and when to let a strong piece carry the moment. But this is where the build really starts to develop character. Once the main form is in place, it becomes all about composition. And I don't just mean slapping details on a wall, I mean making sure every element balances the others. You want the rhythm, you want contrast. You want your eye to be able to travel across the building and pick up on little changes in depth, shape, and texture without feeling overwhelmed. The worst thing you can do is clutter randomly. Composition is about making intentional design choices. How windows stack, how trims frame elements, and how the weight of the building feels left to right. After all that, it's time for polish. I spend a good amount of time just trimming up the facade, adding support beams, top ledges, border trims. These little touches take the structure from good to this could be in a theme park. And of course, we can't forget clutter and foliage. Adding those grounded pieces, potted plants, maybe a crate or two, helps sell the realism and makes the scene feel lived in. Natural atmosphere is what breathes life into a static build. Finally, we cap it off with a custom sign. It's those little touches, like a swinging shop sign, that really finalize the illusion. It tells the viewer, this isn't just a building, it's a place. It has identity. Now, I did a few things off camera, things that you probably don't need to watch, like cleaning up the back side of the building, placing some basic wall trim and base details. You know, just making sure that the whole structure looks clean even if it's not fully decorated back there. Nothing too crazy, just usual polish. The interior is simple but purposeful. We've got clean walls and signage, and this is where we're placing the shoutouts to all the creators who have contributed to Imaginaria so far. Each area of the park is represented and every builder's name is displayed beneath. And as more creators join the project, more names will be added to the list. And there it is, from beginner to pro to master. 3 versions of the same building, 3 very different energies, but all part of the same creative journey. We started with a box, we added some style, and then we said, what if we put our whole soul into this facade? And suddenly, Club Wikz House of Creators went from nice little shop to something worthy of Main Street in Imaginaria. If you're starting out, keep building. If you're already in the pro zone, keep experimenting. And if you're at the master stage, then you know the work never really stops. Let me know down in the comments which version was your favorite. Beginner, pro, or master? And hey, maybe you've got your own version in mind. Join the Discord and share it in our Share Your Work. If you enjoyed this one, you already know what to do. Like the video if you learned something, subscribe if you want to be part of the Club Wikz fam, and hit that bell so you don't miss the next Imaginaria build. This build will also be added on the workshop. Actually, all 3 builds will be in one blueprint so you can pick and choose what you want. Thanks for watching, thanks for creating, and as always, stay weird, stay creative, and keep building cool stuff. I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.